Your landlord made $47,000 off you last year. You made zero. Want to see the receipt? Because in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly where your rent money actually goes, not in theory, in math, and why every single month you wait to understand this, you're making someone else richer while getting mathematically poorer yourself. Let's start with someone you've never met, the invisible partner. Here's a person in your life who doesn't train you, doesn't help your career, takes zero risk on your future, but gets paid before you do. Every month, they open your bank account, remove a fixed amount, and leave you with whatever's left. And here's the part that should bother you. They can raise their cut whenever they want. No negotiation, no upside for you, no ownership. You call this person your landlord. But here's what you're actually calling rent. You think rent is payment for housing. Rent actually is a silent equity contribution to someone else's balance sheet. Now, before you click away thinking this is just another anti-landlord rant, stop, because I already know what you're thinking. This is temporary. I'll buy later. I'm just renting for flexibility right now. So here's the question you need to answer honestly. Later than who? Because the person you're paying, they already own the asset. They already locked in their payment. They already benefit from inflation. You're the one exposed. And in the next section, I'm going to show you something most renters never calculate. What your rent is actually doing while you're busy calling it just a bill. Let's strip the emotion out and just look at the transaction. You pay $2,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. That feels expensive to you. To your landlord, it's not rent, it's a payment plan. Here's where that $2,000 actually goes. $1,200 pays down their mortgage. $400 covers taxes, insurance, maintenance. $400 is profit. But the profit isn't the scary part. The scary part is what's happening while you sleep. Every single month you rent, 4 things happen simultaneously. You pay someone else's mortgage, their loan balance drops. With your money, they owe less, you own nothing. You finance someone else's appreciation. That property goes up 4 to 6% per year. You capture 0% of that. They capture 100%. You absorb inflation they don't feel. Your rent resets higher every year. Their mortgage payment, though, stays flat. Inflation makes their debt cheaper. It makes your rent more expensive. You transfer tax advantages you'll never see. They write off mortgage interest, depreciation, repairs, property management. You write off nothing. You're taxed on 100% of your income. They're taxed on what's left after using your rent to lower their bill. Let me show you what this looks like over just 1 year. You paid $24,000 in rent. What did you get? No equity, no appreciation, no tax advantages, no control. Your landlord got $8,000 plus in equity, mortgage paid down, $15,000 plus in appreciation, an average 5% on a $300,000 property, $3,000 plus in tax savings, a tenant who thinks they're just paying for housing. You didn't lose $24,000. You transferred $26,000 in value, and you did it in 12 quiet installments that never felt dramatic enough to panic over. That's the genius of the system. Here's the line no renter wants to hear. Your landlord didn't need to be smarter than you. They didn't need to work harder. They didn't need to earn more. They just needed to own first. And once they did, your paycheck became part of their investment strategy. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, fine, I'll just move somewhere cheaper. Great idea. Let's talk about why that almost never works. The myth of move somewhere cheaper. Move somewhere cheaper sounds smart until you ask, cheaper for how long? Because if a place is truly affordable long-term, it's usually affordable because opportunity already left. Every cheap city follows the same script. Phase 1, people move there for affordability. Phase 2, jobs follow. Phase 3, investors follow. Phase 4, rents spike. Austin, Boise, Phoenix, Nashville, different names, same ending. Affordable rent doesn't get protected, it gets exploited. The moment a city becomes livable for ambitious people, it becomes profitable to extract from them. Here's what move somewhere cheaper actually means. Fewer jobs, lower wages, longer commutes. betting your future on a shrinking local economy. You're not solving the problem. You're just changing which landlord you're paying and how isolated you are when rent rises again. And this is where it turns brutal, because what I'm about to show you is why renting feels survivable in your 20s and suffocating in your 30s. It's not bad luck, it's math. Here's why the longer you stay in this system, the worse your position becomes. Year 1, you rent for $2,000 a month. You save a little. You think, I'll buy next year. Year 2, rent goes to $2,200. Inflation hits groceries, gas, everything. Your savings rate drops. You think, I'll wait when things stabilize. Year 3, rent is now $2,400. The property you were looking at, it's now 15% more expensive. Your down payment needs to be bigger. You're not standing still, you're falling behind, slowly. Year 5, you finally say, okay, now I'm ready to buy. But you're not stepping forward. You're chasing something that's been moving away from you the entire time. This is the ratchet effect. Your rent rises with inflation. Your income lags behind it. Your savings get crushed by higher costs. Meanwhile, the asset you don't own becomes more expensive every year. It's designed so that if you don't interrupt it early, it eventually locks you out. Now here's what makes this psychological, because at this point, something uncomfortable happens in your brain. Not confusion, not disagreement, recognition. And your brain immediately tries to protect you from it. If renting really works this way, the obvious question becomes, why am I still doing it? That question is dangerous. So your brain deploys 3 defense mechanisms. Defense number 1, loss aversion. Buying feels risky because loss is loud. A down payment hurts once, very loudly. Rent hurts quietly every month, forever. You feel the fear of a furnace breaking, the anxiety of a market dip, the stress of committing. You do not feel equity building, debt shrinking, inflation working in your favor. So your brain chooses the option that feels safer. Loud pain once versus quiet pain forever. Defense number 2, delay discount. Renting is easy right now. No paperwork, no inspections, no long-term thinking. Buying forces you to confront the future. So you tell yourself, I'll wait for prices to come down. I'll wait for rates to drop. I'll wait until things make sense. But waiting is a decision. And while you wait, rent resets higher, assets inflate, ownership moves further away. You're not standing still, you're falling behind, slowly. Defense number 3, the flexibility lie. Renting gives me flexibility. Flexibility to do what? Move to another rising rent market? Change jobs while housing still eats your income? Stay liquid while inflation drains your savings? That's not flexibility. That's lack of leverage disguised as freedom. Ownership limits movement. Renting limits outcomes. And the system prefers you focused on movement, not control. Here's the truth that makes people uncomfortable. Renting forever doesn't happen because people are irresponsible. It happens because the system rewards delay, punishes commitment, and trains smart people to confuse comfort with safety. Now, I promised you a solution. Not buy a house tomorrow. Something you can do in the next 48 hours that changes everything. Let's kill the fantasy first. This is not about timing the market, waiting for rates to drop, magically saving 20%, finding the perfect house. That story keeps people renting for a decade. This is about collapsing uncertainty. Most people aren't stuck because ownership is impossible. They're stuck because they don't know what they qualify for right now, what ownership actually costs in their market, how much longer waiting mathematically hurts them. So later feels safe, vague, reversible. It isn't. Here's what you do. Call a mortgage broker, not a bank, a broker. Find out what you qualify for today, what a starter property looks like where you live, what your rent is costing you every year you wait. Not to buy tomorrow, but to stop lying to yourself with eventually. Because every lease renewal feels temporary until it isn't. I'm putting a free calculator in the description that shows you exactly how much your rent is costing you in lost equity over 5, 10, and 15 years. Here's the line that matters. Renting isn't evil. Waiting blindly is.
because every renewal is a decision you can't undo later. Your landlord already made theirs. They chose ownership. And once they did, your paycheck became part of their investment strategy. If this video changed how you see rent, hit subscribe and drop a comment with the word equity so I know this resonated.